Hey guys, today I'm going to start a new series on a book called The Puzzle, a Gift from Spirit, and a collection of stories, thoughts, and inspirations by an incredible author and new friend, Kelly F. Allen. We're going to do this in little sections as the chapters are. Starting with the very first quote from M. Scott Peck. The truth is that our finest moments are most likely to occur when we are feeling deeply uncomfortable, unhappy, or unfulfilled. For it is only in such moments propelled by our discomfort that we are likely to step out of our ruts and start searching for different ways or truer answers. The second quote here is from Maya Angelou. Quote, "There is no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside you." And the final quote for this chapter is from Henry David Thoreau. Quote, "Write while the heat is in you. The writer who postpones the recording of his thoughts uses an iron which has cooled to burn a hole with. He cannot inflame the minds of his audience." Introduction. Writing this book has been a compulsion for me as much as it has been an inspiration, writes Kelly. I completely understand now what the prophet Jeremiah meant when he said that trying not to speak of God was like having fire shut up in his bones. It is my sincere desire that the words I share here in this book will be as transformative and enlightening to others as the experiences and gifts from the Spirit shared herein have been for me. I would like to say first and foremost that I do not profess to be any more quote-unquote spiritual than any other. Like the puzzle vision reveals, we are all on this journey together, and I have been blessed to have been visited by Spirit in response to my desperate search for truth and understanding. If by writing and sharing my experiences, my thoughts, and my inspirations, I am able to act as a conduit to help facilitate positive transformation and a paradigm shift like the one I've experienced, I am honored to be used in such a manner. History and scriptures have shown us the story of God speaking through Balaam's donkey in Numbers chapter 22, verses 1 through 35 of the Old Testament in the Bible, that Spirit is capable of using anyone or anything, right? I ask that as you read this book, you open your heart and your mind and set aside any of your preconceived ideologies and fundamental beliefs you have held on to, and allow Spirit to speak to you freely. I have tried diligently and intentionally to not provide concrete interpretations of my own in relation to my personal visit from Spirit. As I try to convey in my writings, I believe we are responsible for finding the truth that is right for each of us and our individual paths. I do not expect that we will all be in the same place in our development at the same time. And as we learn to honor one another's beliefs and respect each other's place on our individual paths, we will be more inclined to work together and help one another in unfolding our understanding of truth and self-realization. In doing so, we will resonate in greater frequency of peace and harmony and speed our spiritual development in unity. Please know that this material is provided with one primary goal, that we may all share understanding, truth, compassion, and love. By the way, Mr. Kelly, he has graciously allowed me to read this, and he said, and I quote, "It would be an honor." So full permission from Mr. Kelly. And if you want this book at any point, we will have it in the description, the name and the title, and I believe he gives it away for free. I'll double check on that. Now, the beginning quote here is from Richard Bach. There's so much to learn! Exclamation mark. And just when we think, I've got it, I really understand what's going on, we're shown a whole new stage set on which to play. And then the last quote here before we begin is from Bo Lossoff. Quote, "We're all stumbling towards the light in varying degrees of grace at any given moment." End quote. The preface. There once was a young man and seeker on a very sincere quest to solve the greatest puzzle of all, unlocking the mystery and understanding the meaning of life. Early in his quest, he joined a small legalistic and fundamentalist evangelical movement and spent several years devoted to perpetrating the beliefs of this organization and recruiting others to it. While doing so, he delved deep into the scriptures, seeking to draw closer to an understanding of God and God's relation to humanity. In his studies, he found parallels between the religious rulers of the time of the scriptures and those of the modern day. You see, like the Pharisees and Sadducees of biblical times, the modern day religious rulers seemed to have forgotten love as the central theme for their teachings and had become bound by legalities and semantics and got caught up in the battle of articulation. Like the religious rulers of Christ's day, many of the modern-day religious leaders had once again forgotten that the laws presented by Moses were made for man and not man for the law. More importantly, the laws were given in love as a guideline to help mankind as we evolve and mature in our spiritual understanding. In time, the man ultimately realized that he had received the benefit of all the teachings available in this organization and left the church, a bit discouraged, but in search of continued enlightenment from God. After several years of visiting various churches of different denominations and meeting many who felt that they had found the ultimate quote-unquote truth, the seeker decided it was time to gain a better understanding of non-Western teachings and ideas. He had always been taught that believers of such teachings were heathens, following a false belief system, but how could he know of their falseness without first grasping their principles and doctrine? Through the years, and through the conduit of many teachings and teachers, the young man became more and more open to understanding mercy, grace, and most of all, love. You see, God had opened the door of the opportunity for him and had allowed him to experience individuals from different backgrounds, perspectives, and faiths. He was also allowed to see that these individuals were on a path not unlike his own, and in pursuit of the very same truth he so desperately sought. For years, the seeker read every popular inspiration book he could get his hands on and embraced every quote-unquote chance encounter with the teachers brought into his life. Knowing there was a bigger picture, he continued to pray and meditate on the one question that continued to haunt and perplex him. Why so many beliefs? And why so many religions? If we are truly one people on this planet we call Earth, when we all want the same thing, why must we be so divided as people? We are really all just a small planet hanging in the universe filled with people who all crave the same thing: to love and to be loved. The desperation for complete understanding began to grow inside the man until it felt to this man like his heart would explode. Watching national and world news became so painful that it was difficult to handle. Seeing wars over religion, the very thing that should be bringing us together, fighting over cultural and racial differences, and the incredible amount of suffering taking place in humanity became heartbreaking and unbearable. What the seeker didn't realize was that he was being given one of the greatest gifts he could ask for, and his prayers were in fact being answered. He was being allowed to feel compassion, heartbreak, and most importantly, an understanding of the love that God feels for all creation. The pain he was now feeling, like a plow in the field, would prepare the once hardened soil of his heart for the seeds that would be planted during the visit from Spirit, and ready him for a miracle harvest that would change his understanding and his life forever. What follows is this individual's incredible awakening experience. We're at 11 minutes, so we're going to have to catch the next one tomorrow. The next chapter is entitled The Visit. Hasta mañana. Have a wonderful night. Namaste.